Specialist Collin S. Jackson, United States Army, heroically distinguished himself by exceptionally valorous conduct in the face of the enemy as an infantry uplift soldier attached to Special Forces Operation Detachment Alpha 9522, Advanced Operating Base Central in support of SOTF Afghanistan during Operation Freedom Sentinel in support of Resolute Support Mission. On 16 August 2017, Specialist Jackson was a combat enabler for SFODA 9522, as well as the 8th Special Operations Kandak Commandos during a deliberate clearance operation in Mohmand Valley, a stronghold of ISIS in southern Nangarhar, Afghanistan. After taking fierce enemy contact from a machine gun and indirect fire for over 8 hours, the combined U.S. and Afghan element consolidated at an isolated compound on the valley floor in order to secure a defensible remain overnight position. As the dismounted element finished clearing the compound, an explosive weapon of unknown origin suddenly detonated, wounding 30 personnel and ultimately killing 4. Specialist Jackson immediately responded to the radio call for help, dismounted from the safety of his armored vehicle and moving over open ground to help collect the wounded and move them to a casualty collection point. As he was doing so, ISIS fighters exploited the chaos and confusion with a complex attack and opened fire from defensive fighting positions to the west, south, and north. Specialist Jackson steadfastly continued to help move the casualties, despite the heavy volume of incoming fire, and at one point even assisted performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation on a critical American casualty. Once all the wounded had been staged for an aerial medical evacuation, Specialist Jackson moved back to his vehicle, which was receiving prodigious fire from small arms as well as RPGs. With total disregard for his own personal safety, he retrieved a 60mm mortar from the truck and began engaging the enemy defensive fighting positions. The majority of the element had moved into an open wheat field in preparation for an incoming medevac. Specialist Jackson had no choice but to fight from an exposed position in front of his vehicle. He was vulnerable, but had good fields of fire and courageously held his ground, destroying the enemy defensive fighting position with 6 mortar rounds. Specialist Jackson remained in his exposed position for nearly an hour, as overwhelming number of casualties behind him were treated and eventually medically evacuated. His efforts directly contributed to the successful medevac of 13 critical casualties and the failure of the enemy to inflict further damage on his element. Specialist Jacksons are in keeping with the finest military traditions, military heroism, and reflect great credit upon himself, SOTF Afghanistan, the NATO Special Operations Component Command Afghanistan, and SOGITF Afghanistan, and the United States Army. That's pretty amazing. And that's, when we talk about embodying the Army values, that's what it comes to. That's what we do every day here that builds to what Specialist Jackson did in combat. For 30 of his brothers and sisters who were not able to defend themselves. That's pretty impressive.
Never miss an opportunity to talk to soldiers, especially the mighty gunner team. Oh! That's right. Especially with the backdrop of these M109 Alpha 7s. Oh! But never lose sight, as typified here today, talking about Specialist Jackson. We can talk about the most modern pieces of equipment in the world. Tank, Paladin, M88, etc. All important tools, but none more important than you. Represented right here. And he's embarrassed by all of this. But he represents you and all that you embody in our Army. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of your teammates. You are truly extraordinary. You have raised your right hand and decided to serve. None of us, to include the boss, are old enough to have been drafted. Everybody here volunteered. You should be proud of that. Celebrate that. Never apologize for that. And we treat each other with dignity and respect because that's who we are, as embodied here today in Specialist Jackson. You run toward when others run away. You say yes when others say no or can't do what you do. Celebrate that. We thank you for what you're doing. We celebrate today this great hero among our midst. Think about what you're witnessing here today. Truly special. Truly special. And for the cadets that are here, this is why you are here. To witness this. The soldiers that you are to lead one day. Right here. This is your obligation. What you're doing now is just a means to get to here. To lead great soldiers and care for their families. That is special, and thank you for doing what you're doing. Gunner 6, thank you.
Thanks, sir. Cool. General Matlock, sir, is there anything you'd like to add?
I just want to be the first guy to shake the man's hand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.